Hello, it's John Heaton. It's been a while. I had to take some time out, but I'm back. And today I'm going to review this album from Badfinger, Straight Up, released in December 71 in the US and February 72 in the UK. Badfinger, Pete Ham, Tom Evans, Joey Molland and Mike Gibbons. English band on the Beatles Apple label. Just before I review that album, brilliant, just want to tell you about this book I picked up over Christmas in London, which is a collection of all the Apple Years George Harrison songs into one book. And whilst I prefer getting the original album versions of these, and I have the Material World one, it's pretty good value at £20 because you get all of the tracks from All Things Must Pass, the whole of Material World, Dark Horse, Extra Texture, plus all of the singles. Bangladesh is here, Deep Blue, the B-side, Miss O'Dell, and I Don't Care Anymore. And it's been great fun trying to learn some of these songs on the piano, and as I think Jeff Lynne said, some of George's chords are not that easy and quite unique in a way. There's a lot of bit like in the Paul Simon similar book I have, there's a lot of quite complicated chords, diminished this or that, and isn't it a pity? Good example of that. Anyway, so that was that. I'm pleased with that. So back to Badfinger. This was their third album after Magic Christian Music 1970, which was partially the soundtrack to a Peter Sellers movie. Then the No Dice album, which came out in December of 1970. And then this album was supposed to be released in 1971, but didn't end up getting released till the very end of the year in the US, and as I said, February 72 in the UK, because there were a few changes happening along the way. So what the story is, by the way, this is the band, Joey, Tom, Pete and Mike, back cover. And this is my UK copy. On the UK Apple there. The UK copy was quite hard to get hold of when I was growing up. The US copy, both quite rare actually, but the US copy was slightly easier to find. This is my US copy, which is not in very good condition, but you can see the difference in the Apple there. It's more like a US Apple, should we say. So, I've got two copies of the vinyl. Actually, this is my son's one, the US one. I gave it to him. And then on CD, we've got two versions. This came out in mid-90s, I think, 93, I think, and had some of the bonus tracks I was talking about, because the album started off, it was going to be quite a bit different, and the sleeve notes to this CD are very interesting because they show that the original track listing of this album was considerably different from the finished album. It opened with Suitcase, then it had a track called I'll Be the One, which was an outtake released on the No Dice CD. No Good at All, a Tom Evans track. Sweet Tuesday Morning, Baby Please, co-written by Pete, Joey and Mike. And Mean Jemima, Joey Molland track, which turned up as an extra track on the No Dice CD. And then side two was going to open with Name of the Game, different version, which I'll come to. Loving You, a Mike Gibbons track. Money, Stroke Flying, Sing for the Song on Tom Evans track, and then Perfection from Pete Ham at the end. So, as you might have spotted from that track listing, quite a few of the songs which ended up on the finished album are missing. Notably Day After Day and Baby Blue, and also Take It All and It's Over. This is the second version of the CD, which comes in the nice gatefold, and it's on Apple like the other one. So they've done CD releases well for Badfinger. They've yet to re-release anything on vinyl, and I guess if they're going to do that, this would be the first one they would do, because it's probably their best known album, and I think it was particularly successful in the US. So anyway, Jeff Emmerich of Beatles fame was producing the first version of this album, and they had it ready to release it, as I've just read out the track listing, the proposed track listing, and it was rejected by the record company. And then they felt disheartened because they'd worked 3 months on this. But luckily, George Harrison then offered to come in and produce the album, so they thought, well, this is going to turn out great. And George worked on 4 songs. He reworked The Name of the Game, slowed it down, put piano on it, made it sound like an epic ballad a la All Things Must Pass. And then also reworked Suitcase and made it much more Beatlesque. The original version was a bit raunchier, and Joey Molander said it's more like the real Badfinger, which I probably prefer the original version of that particular song. And then he worked on 2 new songs, Day After Day, a gem from Pete Ham, which George plays lead guitar with Pete Ham jointly on that song, the solo. And then a great new track from Joey Molland, I Die Babe, heavy acoustic driving number, great vocals. By the way, this band is noted for having 3 songwriters, and 4 actually if you include Mike, because he did write a couple, but say 3 main songwriters, Pete, Tom and Joey, all contributing strong material to the first few albums anyway. Tom Evans would kind of fall away a bit songwriting wise from this album onwards, really. For one reason or another. But on No Dice and Magic Christian he's very prevalent. But anyway, 3 of them very talented, and not many bands which can boast 3 singer-songwriters. The Beatles and Fleetwood Mac come to mind, but not too many others. So that was the Jeff Emmerich version. It was rejected. George came in, worked on those 4 songs, then got called away to do the Bangladesh concert. So he had to abandon the album. Todd Rundgren was brought in and produced the album masterfully, and the band were grateful. They said he was a wizard in the studio, and as I say, so a couple of new tracks like Take It All were added, and the production on the final album is just masterful. And yes, it's reminiscent of the Beatles, and in a way, in 1970, late 71, early 72, if one was mourning the passing of the Beatles as a band, Badfinger were a pretty decent, wouldn't say replacement, but they were a very strong band with very melodic songs with harmonies and great musicianship. And this album, I mean, I don't know if I go through all the tracks, but it's interestingly, the track order on the back here is not what the final track order was for some reason. Just noticed that. So the album opens with a superb piano ballad, Take It All, from Pete, and then Baby Blue is next from Pete again. He's really on great form on this album, probably more so than any other album. And Baby Blue got some prominence a few years ago when it was used for the finale of Breaking Bad, the final episode of Breaking Bad, when Walter White is dying. They're playing Baby Blue. And then the album continues with Money from Tom Evans, which is a kind of medley with Flying from Joey. Very nice harmonies. And I Die Babe, as I say, strong number from Joey. Naming the Game closes side 1. And then side 2 opens with Suitcase, which is a good number, although I prefer the earlier version. And then Sweet Tuesday Morning is just a gorgeous ballad from Joey, acoustic number. Just lovely, and it just shows the versatility of this band, as I say, with 3 songwriters. Day After Day follows, big top 10 hit on both sides of the Atlantic, particularly successful in the US. And then we've got a Joey number called Sometimes, very good rocker, Perfection, very heartfelt, contemplative ballad from Pete. And then It's Over, the only real solo vocal from Tom on this album, although he did write Money, and it's about the pains of being on the road and wanting to be back home. So very strong closer to the album, very strong guitar work throughout from Pete and Joey. strong drumming from Mike as well, particularly on Baby Blue. They really had a great chemistry, this band, and they should have had a great future. Maybe that's for another video. They did some great stuff after this, but maybe didn't live up to their full potential. Okay, so that was Straight Up from Badfinger. Thanks for watching. See you next time.